Hey, what goes on, guys? We're back here again with another review, and today I'm very excited to be showing you guys the Mcfarlane Toys Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know what he's calling this line. I guess it's just Avatar: The Last Airbender by Mcfarlane Toys. In the package, you can see pretty much the whole figure. You don't really see his feet or his tail, which we'll talk about that in a minute, because I've already opened him up and fiddled around with him a little bit, and he's, spoiler alert, pretty freaking amazing and something that I've wanted a very long time, but we'll get to that in a minute. On the front here, you can see Aang doing in the Avatar state, which looks really, really nice. Appa written right there, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Nickelodeon. On the side, you get the Avatar: The Last Airbender logo there. Down here, it says Appa. On the back, you get that awesome artwork of Appa, which I'm considering cutting out from the box, because I'm not keeping this box because it's ruined, but I'm considering cutting that out just because, you know, I love Appa. He's my favorite character in the show. You get Appa. There's a read-up in various languages. If you're looking for this guy, here's the barcode. You'll have to spin it around. Sorry about that. Nothing really on the bottom. And then on the other side here, nothing. Kind of nothing at all. I don't even know why they... I don't know. I feel like a little image should have been there. But as I said, you can take it out like this professionally or whatever and then slide it out. I already did that, so I took them out. Let's get this box out of here. But then in the box, his tail is attached with this zip tie here. Again, I already took him out. I kind of tucked it back in. You just take that out. And the only assembly that is required for this figure is just popping the tail on. And you'll hear it click and it stays on really good. But without further ado, let's finally go ahead and take a closer look at my good friend Appa here. So taking a closer look at Appa out of the box, I just can't get over how good this sculpt is. Like, I know Mcfarlane has their issues with articulation and accessories and weird hands and, you know, all that kind of good stuff. But one thing that they always get right is the sculpting detail. And this is no exception. This sculpt is immaculate. The head looks so good in all positions. It looks just like Appa from the show. And I like the added fur detail. I mean, across the entire body, which I'll show. It gets a little gappy there, but it's not that big a deal. But across the entire body, the fur sculpt is, it's amazing. It's a work of art when it comes to the sculpt. Inside the mouth, you gotta angle the head the right way, but you can push it down all the way. You can see his pearly whites coming out of there. I got a little, that wasn't there, but a little bit of pearly whites. You see all his teeth in there. His tongue up in the mouth, which looks really good. The gums are painted, so that looks awesome. You get that nice little added paint around the bottom lip, which could have been overlooked, but I'm happy that he did it. You get the big jowls and the nose painted really, really nicely. That dark brown with the light cream color around the eyes. The eyes have a lot of detail in them. You know, it's the maroon, the black, and then two highlight lights, which look really, really nice. So this is an amazing head sculpt. You can see his ears come down, looking all cute. I mean, Appa's adorable. On the horns, you get the wraps. I would have liked to see a little bit of paint on there. I might go ahead and paint some of this stuff, and there's one other part that I feel like could use some paint, which I'll talk about in a minute, because I feel like the figure lacks a little bit in the paint department. But I'm going to say why that's okay at the end of the video. On the bottom here, you get a great texture along like the skin part of the bottom, like the abdomen and the back of the platypus-like tail. You get his paws are sculpted, which is really, really cute. I like that. And on the top, they got like that kind of like scaly kind of look. I know it's not scales, but you get, I mean, you get good paint variation or paint gradient, I guess, for the arrow and then his fur pattern down his back. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it really works, especially for my likings, because you can see like how it's kind of like faded on each point. So I like that because it gives it more of like a realistic fur look. The arrow on the head doesn't have it as much, but it's a little bit there, but it still looks good. And then there's a little bit of paint there to keep it consistent, which is really nice. Going on the other side, you get like this long fur sculpt, which again, just admire that sculpt, people. It is so beautiful. I like that they did a realistic take. Like if it was just flat, like how it is in the show, that would have been a little bit boring. So for them to do this whole sculpt and it'd be a solid like piece, like he's a heavy boy. Like he probably weighs a good 2 pounds, 3 pounds. He's heavy. So for this to just be a nice solid sculpt is awesome. Now on the top here is where I have a little bit of issue. The sculpt is great. The texture's all there along the saddle, on the pouch here in the back with everything wrapped up in it. But inside there's no paint. It kind of looks unfinished. I think even just slight paint variations, I might go ahead and add some stuff to this just to make it pop a little bit more. The wood grain is sculpted really nice. Again, I understand why they did that, and I'll talk about it at the end. But yeah, you know, a little bit of paint detail would have been nice. Just a slight color variation. Like, just take this color and put it right here. You know, for the little ripped blanket or whatever, I think that would have gone a long way. But like I said, the wood grain is sculpted very nice. The leather around the back of the saddle is good. I really, really like that. And then coming along to the tail here, I love the sculpt. And it comes, you know, beautifully sculpted. I like the curvature to it. And at the end, it kind of like points like it's like wisping in the wind. The paint on here, I could have sworn he had these outgoings on the top here too, like there was 2 of these like points, but I could be wrong. Either way, I really, really like it. And then the back of the tail is painted brown, and like I said, there's that nice gradient around the fur. Now, as I kind of mentioned with the saddle, like how the saddle isn't painted, not only would I like detailed paint there and on the horns, I think a slight, just a tiny wash across the whole thing would take this to another level. And I'm considering doing it. I don't really have tons of time to be working on toys right now, but I'm considering doing it. I think it would bring the sculpt out even more. But I feel like with just the light catching it, that sculpt is really, really pop. Like, it pops really good in all angles. So it might not need it, but I think it would take it to another level. But let's go ahead and take a look at Appa's articulation. Now, our Sky Bison doesn't have much articulation, but I thought we'd just run through it. The mouth, if you got it, you got to angle in a certain way, but you can open up pretty good, like right there. You get the top front teeth out, which kind of makes them look angry to me. But if you have it just a little slightly open, it holds for the most part. Some positions it gets a little loosened, but that's because I've been fidgeting with it. It wasn't like that when it came out of the package. All these different positions can convey different emotions about Appa, so I really, really like that. It adds a lot. Reminds me of the Mcfarlane Toys King Shark. Now, the head is on a big old ball joint. It's a little pre-sculpted. His body kind of tilts toward this way. So if he's kind of like tilting to the right a little, or your right, his left kind of way. So the head doesn't go completely straight, but it'll look up that much. Down, not so much, so it'll kind of just look straight. It'll rotate all the way around. Well, yeah, you can rotate all the way around. And then it'll tilt this way that much, and then tilt the other way. It gets a little gappy there, but again, not that big a deal. You just have to angle it the right way. So yeah, I think all the way around, that's a good range of articulation for a head. Now, each of the feet swivel. Some of them work better than others just based off of the fur sculpt around the ankles, but they all do swivel. So if you want like slightly different poses on them, that's not too bad. And then the tail is also on a ball joint, as you saw at the beginning. So it'll go up, down, it does swivel and rotate, and then it pivots as well. So not bad movement there neither. Again, would I have loved a super articulated Appa? Yeah, but is this good enough? 100%. I'm totally okay with this. So I think the articulation works just as good as it's supposed to for a character like that. Now, for comparison here, I don't have the Mcfarlane Avatar The Last Airbender figures because I don't have unlimited funds, and I already had the Diamond Select ones, so I'm just going to be using this Appa with my Diamond Select ones. So here is the only one that I have at my dorm right now, the Diamond Select Aang, and they're pretty much the same size. My buddy got the Mcfarlane ones, and they're pretty much the same size. It's just these have more articulation. I do think the Mcfarlane ones look better, but there's more articulation in these, so it's kind of a pick your poison type of deal. He stands... These are not in scale at all. I mean, Appa should be like there and just all around bigger, but which I'll talk about at the end why I think it's okay. But yeah, I think these look really nice together despite the fact that they're not in scale like at all. I mean, because if you put Aang in here, I mean, he takes up pretty much the whole saddle himself, and you're supposed to get like the whole crew in there: Zuko, Toph, Sokka, Katara, Aang, you know. So Aang usually sits up here anyway, but still, it's not really in scale, but you know, it works. Oops, dropped his glider here, but it works for me, and I was having them posed like kind of like Aang, like ready to take off with his glider or whatever, and you know, Appa just kind of doing his thing. But yeah, so while not nearly in scale, I think it works very, very well. So I'm happy to have an Appa there. Now, the one thing that I want to mention before we get into final thoughts is the price point on this thing. I went around and asked all my friends in the dorms, you know, how much do you think I spent on this? Like, people were coming in and were like, well, that's awesome. I'm like, how much do you think I spent? Nobody said anything less than $50. The fact that this figure is $20, less than a Marvel Legends figure, for the size, the girth, the paint detail, the quality, like it feels like a solid toy. To get that for $20 is a no-brainer to me. I got 2 other people to order this thing. 2 other people to order this because when I said it was $20, they were like, that's awesome. So I think $20 for this is more than fair and a super awesome price for a super awesome toy. Sure, if it was $50, would I expect more articulation, a little bit more paint detail, maybe a bigger size? Yeah, I would. But the fact that it's $20 debunks all of that. I'm more than happy to pay $20 just to get an awesomely sculpted Appa on my shelf. So, without further ado, I know you're asking yourself, yo, Amp, what are you thinking of this figure? And it is no question, my friends. This is amazing. $20 for an Appa figure. And like I said, he's my favorite character in the show. I love him. I plan on getting an Appa tattoo. I love Appa. I love his design. He's always been one of my favorite character designs. I thought he had a really good arc when, spoiler alert, when Aang loses him and then they find each other. It's just, he's a great character. Even the fact that he's just an animal. So I absolutely love this thing. And no doubt in my mind, I think this is worth your money. If you're debating on getting this, go do yourself a favor, track it down, get it. But without further ado, if I was to give this a rating, 10 out of 10 for sure. For the price point, 10 out of 10. You know, obviously if it was 30 plus and it was like this, then maybe I'd lower it a little bit. Maybe I would say, you know, maybe a little bit less. But for $20 to get this, no brainer. Go get yourself one. But with that being said, I think that's all I got for today. So if you have not already, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I also would like to mention, I think I'm going to do a new segment here where at the end of the video, I ask you guys the question, you coppin'? Which, if you don't know what that means, it means, will you be buying this? So let me know in the comments, you coppin'? Because I know I'm happy that I copped it. So let me know if you guys are going to be getting it. But other than that, that's all I got for today. So I will see you guys in the next review. Peace.